Good evening, race fans, and welcome to an extended pre-race show here on Podium eSports. We begin our coverage of the final race of the regular season of Season 2 of Monday Night Racing, presented by Tufco Flooring. Tonight, it's the Sim Seats 150, presented by Max Pappas Innovations, live from iRacing's virtual Homestead Miami Speedway in Homestead, Florida. James Pike, the voice of Podium eSports, here alongside Taylor Burris, as we get set to walk you through all the storylines and everything you need to know in advance of this 10th and final race of the regular season, which comes to us tonight using the cars, the NASCAR Cup Series at Homestead Miami. And Taylor, this is a great combo that has tested people, that has challenged the best of the best in sim racing for years. It's been the place where we've crowned the champion of the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series, and tonight it plays host to the final race. When we fall and see the checkered flag come out tonight, we're going to know which 13 drivers will be competing in Season 2 of the Monday Night Racing Playoff.
It certainly is, and with the recent updates to the iRacing service, we're going to see a lot of different drivers using different grooves throughout the entirety of this race. We're going to be seeing everything from drivers riding up against the wall to going to the bottom of the racetrack.
Take a look and see where we are in the world as we zoom into South Florida. You're not terribly far away from US 1 when you head down to the sugarcane fields that surround Homestead Miami Speedway, this track that was built as a regeneration process for the town of Homestead, which was decimated by Hurricane Andrew in 1992. They came back, they said, let's build an oval racetrack to bring the best of the best in stock car racing, and eventually they managed to gather all of the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series, NASCAR Xfinity Series, and the NASCAR Cup Series at Homestead. This track I like a lot, in particular in the sim, because it really does challenge you over a long green flag run, Taylor. This is not a place where you can go 110% and expect to have something left at the end of a 60-lap run or so. If you burn the tires off quickly, you will pay for it on the back end of the run. And that means that the drivers who have the most success, especially if this race goes on a long green flag run or two, will be the drivers who can manage their tire wear the best, especially on corner entry and exit.
It's exactly as we pointed out. We saw during practice drivers trying to see if they can push that limit and using those green flag runs for them in order to see how well they can conserve their tires. Watching some of the drivers actually trying to back off their corner entries in order to save those tires towards those long runs is going to be critical for some of them if we do it. 150 laps here tonight. We may be seeing a couple of green flag pit stops if given the opportunity as we continue on and come to a close to the regular season.
You take a look at the schedule for Season 2 of Monday Night Racing. We see how we got here. We began our season with the Cup cars at Talladega and Kyle Busch's fantastic run. Made our way through the western U.S., through Japan, through the Midwest, back to the West Coast in Phoenix, the dirt of Knoxville, Iowa, the rolling hills of Watkins Glen, Southern California, and Canada, for arriving here tonight with the Cup cars at Homestead at Miami Speedway. We'll take a break. For next week, we'll have the All-Star race on next week, but tonight, all about the points, and who has their chance to make it in. The top 9 in points this evening are already locked into the playoffs. The drivers who have won races and made at least 6 starts, you see at the very top of the standings, and then the 4 drivers who have managed to lock themselves in on points. Anthony Alfredo, Matt Stelneck, Ford Martin, and Gary Texter. The battle comes between those 4 who are right there at the edge and then the 4 behind them. Ron Capps, DJ Cummings, Seth Eggert, and Steve Affont hold the final 4 positions in the playoffs entering tonight. The question is whether or not they will maintain them at the end of it.
That is going to be something to look at, and if as you look at that from 10th to 20th, any one of those 10 drivers could have a shot at making it to the playoffs. One driver in particular who I was looking at, surprisingly, who's struggling this season, DJ Cummings. He's on that bubble area to where if he makes one bad mistake, he could be actually cost him a chance for a run to a championship.
We'll have all sorts of things and bits and pieces that we'll need to look on and look through, but DJ Cummings in particular, championship 4 contender a season ago, and maybe he hasn't had the best of run in this regular season, but still with a good shot to make the playoffs tonight. Both he and Ron Capps tied on 247 points entering this evening. If they finish 35th or better, they will head to the Monday Night Racing playoffs for Season 2 no matter what. The battle, Taylor, comes from Seth Eggert on down. Everybody from Seth to about Kobe Moore or so where it's maybe a 20-point spread at best. We could see a lot of shuffling, and it's a pressure-packed night for Affont and Kenan in particular. Those two come into tonight tied on points, but Affont has the tiebreaker. So it is basically heads up between those two for maybe the last spot.
Certainly is the case, but don't forget Gabe Wood as well. He was on momentum with a great finish that he had at the last round at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park in the Porsche 911 RSR. So a little bit of momentum on his side, can definitely spring his way up through the field tonight.
It's also going to be really tight on the edge of the cutoff there, because in addition to Affont and Kenan, you look at Steve Ellis, you look at Gabe Wood, you look at Kobe Moore, all within just a handful of 10 points over that cutoff mark. So it's going to be tight, and we are going to keep track of the points throughout the evening, and we'll try and keep you abreast of where everybody sits as they run. That could change, and could change a lot over the course of these 100 laps, but we will do our best to make sure that you know who is in, who is out, and who might actually surprise us a little bit this evening. Gabe Wood is one that I look at. Comes into the night 16th in points, but tends to do very well when we get into some form of NASCAR stock car. He had a great run at Knoxville in the trucks, was in a good position when we took the trucks to Las Vegas back in November, won the first practice race that we had here this evening, or this week rather, and was fast in last night's practice race, the traditional Sunday night practices that Monday Night Racing holds as well. So Gabe Wood, I think, could be one to watch. Taylor Burris, is there anyone that you have your eye on?
Well, one driver who I've been keeping my eye on is, of course, going to be Kobe Moore. Kobe Moore has been having some very good runs, keeping it his best. He sits inside those top points right now, but he's going to be outside of it just by 13 points. A good run for him can possibly guarantee him a spot at the Championship 13. He's been running real strong, especially on the oval configurations, so we'll have to see if that's going to come into play for him tonight, and see if he's going to be able to make sure to use the correct lines and save those tires here tonight at Homestead.
There are also some drivers who have not been able to go to victory lane yet, but who have shown lots of speed throughout the season and potentially could find themselves in the winner's circle this evening. I look at that quartet: Anthony Alfredo, Matt Stolnick, Ford Martin, Gary Sexton. All of them have had pace. And I think especially in Anthony's case, he's almost made a joke of it. He's been on the post-race interviews in second or third so many times this season. And even he said, at some point, we're going to jump up to the top and we're going to win one of these things. Is tonight potentially the night that Anthony Alfredo finds himself in the winner's circle? Currently 8th on the board in practice. Dang it.
I've watched him race all season long. Even though he missed the first couple of races, he has been one to watch. He is going to try and break through with a win tonight. Of course, this is good practice for him to get ready for the NASCAR Cup Series. That's going to be starting here pretty soon, especially with Homestead being one of the first few tracks on the schedule. So I know he's going to give it everything he has in order to prove himself when we go to Homestead in a few weeks' time. But another driver who I'm keeping an eye on as well is Matt Stolnick. He has been showing incredible pace and incredible speed since the start of this season, with some great finishes. And yet, even though he has not won a race yet, he has shown the potential to take home a win and go head-to-head with some of the biggest names in motorsports.
Stolnick is a driver who I think really has impressed. We didn't see much of him in Season 1, but he came on with a strong run at Talladega in Season 2. And the Syracuse, New York native, who's a manager of marketing communications in NASCAR's corporate offices in Charlotte, I think could have a very strong run tonight. I will wheel back to Alfredo. He's had a big week or 2 or 3 when you consider the announcement he made just a few days ago that he will be racing full-time in the number 38 for Front Row Motorsports in the NASCAR Cup Series. Another driver who made a similar announcement just earlier this afternoon, and a driver who's on the very edge of the playoff bubble, has a shot to make it. He might need to win tonight, but Ryan Vargas just announced earlier this afternoon that he is going full-time racing in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. JD Motorsports and Gary Keller in that number 6 machine. That Chevy Camaro fast already. He's 4th on the board in practice with a 31.050. Vargas could be a factor by the end of the evening.
Certainly can be. He has shown a lot of speed and also a lot of talent in a wide variety of cars. Of course, now we're in the NASCAR Cup cars. He's going to definitely have to show his skills here tonight at Homestead Miami Speedway under the lights, of course. So that's going to be a big change in factor for these drivers here. They were practicing during daylight hours, so this is going to see a lot cooler temperatures, which means faster speeds.
Most of the racing that these drivers have done in the lead up to this has been under either sunny skies or twilight transitioning skies. It hasn't necessarily been dark like this. So this is new for some of these drivers. Granted, most of them have experience in the sim. It won't necessarily be a shock to see Homestead at night, but maybe not necessarily anything that they're used to just within the past week of practice or so leading up to this race.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see who is able to make sure that they know how to handle the conditions and changing conditions as the temperatures will continue to get cooler throughout the race here tonight.
Keep our eyes peeled and see who manages the transitions, who manages the bumps, who manages the wildness that should ensue in this race. We also need to talk about the fact that James Davison is searching for his third victory in a row. Now, Davison entered Monday night racing in the middle of the season, so he's ineligible for the playoffs, but if he can win tonight, he will become the first driver to win 3 races in a row in Monday night racing since Parker Kligerman did it in last May and June. And oh, by the way, that 77 car is also in the field this evening.
It's going to be an exciting. We have, of course, a wide variety of other drivers competing here tonight. Like we said, Parker Kligerman looking to see if he can score him another victory, as well as James Davison. James Davison has been lighting the world of Monday Night Racing on fire, and he can continue to do that here tonight. I'm looking forward to seeing it. It's just a shame that he cannot make the playoffs because of him missing the previous races beforehand.
Will be tight, will be fun, and he made the point that he lives in South Florida, so it's not necessarily all that hard for him to jump in and get a feel for Homestead. He's at least used to the weather in real life. We'll see whether or not it pans out that way in the sim. Now, we talked about all of these storylines leading up to the race. There's one very, very big one that we also need to touch on because we have some special guests in to call tonight's race as well. We bring back the voice of the NASCAR Xfinity Series, Adam Alexander, but we are joined by NASCAR Hall of Famer Darrell Waltrip and two-time Daytona 500 champion crew chief Larry McReynolds. And Adam will send you off and let you all have your fun. I'm looking forward to sitting back and watching this, and this should be a treat and incredibly entertaining, I think, to see everybody go at it tonight.
James Taylor, no offense to you guys, okay? But the last time I was on, I was kind of the third wheel, and I was with the two of you. You just gave the resume of the guys I'm with tonight, a Hall of Famer and Darrell Waltrip, America's crew chief Larry McReynolds. I am thrilled to not only be a part of Monday Night Racing again, but to be calling the regular season finale with two legends. Darrell, we haven't heard from you in a while. What have you been up to?
Well, I was a little bit behind on doing nothing, and I'm caught up now. So I got that behind me.
Good.
I'm good to go, but I'm really looking forward to the race tonight. I think it's going to be exciting. I'm a sim racer from way back. Not really, but anyway, I'm looking forward to the race tonight. I think it'll be fun. This track is challenging, it's interesting, and the way these cars set up, the way these guys drive, I think it's going to be a great race.
Larry, you and I, this is a perfect way to fill the off-season void because there's so much anticipation as we prepare to go racing for real now in less than 3 weeks. Give us the countdown. How many days till the Daytona 500?
20 days from as we sit here, we will know who won the Great American Race. So it's getting close. The hourglass sands, they are getting smaller and smaller.
Time for you, Larry, not only prepping and getting ready for another season, but just the overall anticipation knowing the green flag at Daytona is just around the corner.
Adam, I was telling someone the other day, there's just something about this season that feels different, that feels special. I don't know if it's because of what we experienced last year, and we kind of feel like, at least as far as our racing, we're kind of getting back to normal. I don't know if it's all the new tracks that are on the schedule. We've got the new race teams. We've got a lot of different faces in different places. There's just something about the energy of this season, even though we've not even got started yet, that just feels special. It really feels different.
The Fox promotion says best season ever, and with Clint Boyer and Jeff Gordon in the booth, I know those guys are already going at it. Darrell, you know what that's all about, certainly. And as we look at this track, and I think Miami is one of the biggest challenges that drivers always face, just because, as the guys talked about, you can move all over, and we know the tires are going to fall off. Racing under the lights at Miami, handicap this a little bit, Darrell, and tell us what these drivers are going to face tonight.
aggressive banking. So the further up the track you go, the more banking you have. So that's why you'll see the shortest ways around the bottom. So you're going to fight like crazy for the bottom when you're on pretty fresh tires. But as those tires go away and the car starts to move around a little bit more, you're going to move up the racetrack. I think the guy that can, it's really a driver's. You don't have a setup. Everybody got the same car. So it really comes down to it's in the driver's hands, in his butt and in his foot, what he feels and what he sees. And so the guy that can manage his car the best, take care of the tires, and get the longest run out of those are the guys we're going to have to, that's going to win this race tonight. We don't know who that is yet. This field is full of great drivers. We just have to wait and see.
And it's a fairly short race. It's only 100 laps. And yeah, tire management is going to be huge. I have watched a couple of iRaces from Homestead over the last few days, just trying to really get my arms around everything. And, there's going to be some short runs. We're going to have some cautions, but there's going to be some long runs. And what's really going to play a role in this race, I think, one, is in watching these other races, not making mistakes. But then there's going to be a competition caution at lap 20. It's a 100-lap race. We're going to go back racing probably with 75 laps to go. And I think that's where the strategy is really going to get interesting, depending on caution, what you do when you come to pit road to maybe get that final set of tires.
We got a tough track. We got drivers with all different disciplines competing tonight, and strategy going to be all over the board. We can't wait to go green. First, let's get our invocation for tonight's race.
Let's pray. Our Heavenly Father, we thank you for this opportunity that we have to participate in this event today. We thank you for the privilege to live in the United States of America, one nation under God, indivisible with liberty and justice for all. We commit this event to you, and may we please you. We'll give you the thanks. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
And now we get the command of fire engines. Here's our Grand Marshal for the night, Max Pappas.
Hi everyone, I'm Max Pappas, founder of MPI, and tonight is my pleasure to be the Grand Marshal of the SimSeat 150 at Miami, presented by MPI. With no further delay, gentlemen, start your engines!
Oh, if the Grand Marshal is Max Pappas, there's going to be some energy in the building. And hey, we've got our first surprise. Congratulations to Rajah Caruth. Very fast in practice. He goes out and backs it up in qualifying, winning the Bryant Shock Technology Pole Award. Congratulations to him. It's his first ever on Monday Night Racing. And now we look at the starting lineup. Caruth on the front row with Ryan Vargas. The guys talked about him in our pre-race coverage. Just signed a deal with JD Motorsports to run full-time in the Xfinity Series. We'll talk a lot tonight about Anthony Alfredo. Another guy from Owensboro in the field, Jeff Green on row 3 with James Davis and DW.
Yeah, and then, we know Garrett Smith's still here. He's been running really well. Will Power, IndyCar driver. Santez. I mean, just go down. Parker Kleeman, TJ Majors. That's a strong middle of the field right here.
Here you see Robbie Lyons on row 7, races in the Truck Series. How about Xfinity Series and Cup champion, our teammate on Fox, Bobby Labonte, in that 18 car. And there you see DJ Cummings. He was fastest in that final practice a little earlier today.
Noah Lewis, someone we'll talk a lot about tonight, driving that 98 car. Seth Eggert in the 45 on row 10 with Brandon Brown. Now, that's not the Brandon Brown that runs in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. That's Brandon Brown from West Virginia, the senior manager of marketing at NASCAR. And Devin Henry is in the field. So is Will Rogers, made a handful of Xfinity starts a year ago.
It's just a strong field. I mean, look, Ford Martin, for goodness sakes. I mean, we love Ford. We know him really well. Max Kennett. I mean, this field is just full of really guys. Anybody in this field right now, the way the cars are set up, the way the track is, I feel like anybody could win this race.
Ron Capps, NHRA driver, he's going to have to put his work clothes on in that 28 car, starting way, way deep in the field. Brett Baldack, he's actually a local Fox News reporter starting shotgun on the field.
They're rolling off. Give me a sense right now what these drivers are feeling one lap until we go green at the Homestead Miami Speedway, Darrell.
Well, you got your fingers crossed. You got fingers, toes, everything crossed. You just want the car to drive good. You want it to handle well. You want it to be able to suck up. You want to be able to hang in there. And these early laps, you just don't want to lose anything. You may not gain a lot. You just don't want to lose a lot. So you want to really be cautious and get yourself into a rhythm, get yourself set a pace, kind of get the feel of the car, see what the track's like. It's going to be a little cooler. Grip's going to pick up. It should be interesting to see how these drivers adjust to the conditions.
No, they're all on brand new tires. You have to be careful for about a lap or two. The cars will be real, real loose.
Just about time for the green flag in the Sim Seats 150. And anytime we go green on Monday Night Racing, we are thinking about the Big Green Egg, one of our great sponsors. Darrell, we're so happy to have you along for the ride. The race is about to start. Get us going, Hall of Famer.
You got it, buddy. Boogity, boogity, boogity. Let's go racing, boys. Woo!
I know the fans loved hearing that, and here we are underway in the regular season finale, and they're side-by-side out front. That's Carruth down on the inside in that black 99, that multicolored tic-tac car. Ryan Vargas, they shared the front row, and now the front two nose to tail, but that's a big mess behind them, Larry.
I mean, they were like 3 and 4 wide down the back straightaway, but you heard James and Taylor talk about drivers looking for different grooves here early in this race. It looks like we've got caution already on the racetrack.
So an early caution, and Larry, we've talked about this, and we'll continue to follow the progress with all these drivers, but lap 20 is when we're supposed to get the competition caution, and some of these folks may need that fast repair. You get one in this race and a number of drivers involved in this lap 1 incident.
Yeah, they didn't get the memo. That's a little early. That car, which car I can't tell, that's number 30 looked like, number 10. He got up next to the wall, started scraping the wall, and then he lost control and then came down in front of the whole field. It's not what you want. Not the way to start the race.
They can get that fast repair, but even minor damage, you want to try to fix that on a pit stop because that will really affect the aero of the race car.
What you hope here for some of these drivers is maybe, Larry, you don't have to come down here and use the repair. You can limp around, stay on the lead lap until we get to that lap 20 competition caution. And DW, you talk about number 10. That's DJ Cummings. He comes into this race, one of those drivers right on the playoff bubble. Just needs to finish 35th or better to advance into the playoffs. He was trying to stay away from something like what we saw here on our opening lap.
It never fails. When you say all you got to do is whatever, finish in the top 30, you have trouble right off. I don't know why that is. It's just kind of the racing gods. They just don't. They're not always with you, and they weren't with DJ for sure.
DJ from Westfield, New Jersey, digital platform manager for NASCAR Digital Media.
But this is interesting, because right now Right now, you can you run a lap or two, you kind of know what the tires feel like, you know what kind of car you got, you know what kind of adjustments as a driver you need to make. Maybe you don't drive in so hard, maybe you get off the gas a little sooner, maybe you don't drive off so hard, just getting a little loose. So you can make some adjustments as a driver, and that will fit to what the car is doing right now.
So DW, watching those races earlier, they run the high downforce aero package, 550 horsepower, just like the Cup cars run when they go to Homestead Miami Speedway. And you definitely clean air. Being out front is huge with that big old rear spoiler that these cars have on the back of them.
Oh, I think for sure. Look, by drafting, I think all the tricks of the trade, when you have a low horsepower with a lot of downforce, that's when it's really right in the driver's wheelhouse. He gets to use all of his talent. He gets to show how good he is in the draft, side drafting, taking advantage of the other guy, getting a run on him. Those are things that you really work on as a driver.
We're about ready to go green one more time. James, update us on the crash and what the impact was for these drivers.
Yeah, you know, DW and Larry Mack were talking about the significance of cold tires, especially early on a run. That's exactly what happened to Garrett Smithley. He just got in the gas a little bit too early on corner exit in turn 4. The rear end of the car started to snap around, and this on the first lap. There wasn't much room to go for James Davison in the 51, who got into the back of Smithley and turned everybody around, set off that first yellow of the evening.
Davison tried to win for a third consecutive time. He's won the last 2 weeks. DJ Cummings got damaged. We'll follow his progress. Also, Gabe Wood in the top 5. He's trying to jump into a playoff position, came in on the outside looking in. We're green once again, sponsored by the Big Green Egg. Here they come out of turn 4.
Leader pretty much controls the restart. They actually have a green light inside the car that they see, and that's what tells them the green is out. The leader makes the restart and gets things going.
I think right here you see the advantage of the low groove. It's a little shorter way around the track, and so you can run the low groove, and then that guy hangs on the outside, trying to get a little bit of side draft, maybe pull up on you. But that low groove really is the way to go right now.
More aggression early in this race, do you guys think, knowing we're getting that competition caution at lap 20?
You know, it's hard. You have to worry about a long run, that's for sure. All you got to worry about is what we saw happen there early in the race.
Well, Carruth is leading this, and
I think, Adam, you really try to get track position.
yeah, and I guess that's my thought, Daryl. If you're aggressive early and you can maintain some track position, that kind of puts you ahead of the 8 ball and gives you some options once you get to that competition caution. And on this restart, everybody has settled it out. And I'll say this, Ryan Vargas is not going away. He is hanging right with Carruth at the front of the field.
This package, the 550 horsepower with a lot of downforce, you have a lot of air coming off the car in front of you. And so you can really hang. You can get right up underneath that car in front of you, draft on him, and stay with him. So if you got a pretty good car, handling in the corner pretty good, this is what you're going to get. You can get these two guys running pretty close together.
One thing we need to mention that a lot of people may not realize, a lot of these drivers, it's an option, but they can have a spotter, and a spotter has every camera view that you'll see throughout the broadcast, and a lot of them even have crew chiefs that'll make decisions on the race car what to do when they come to pit road.
I trusted the two of you together, driver, crew chief, is a combo. I certainly would not trust you in a sim situation, and this is a good little battle here. You got Will Power, who's running inside the top 5, so good a week ago. He just joined the league, and he was really good at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. He was getting a little help there from behind from TJ Majors, of course, a spotter in the Cup Series, long time, worked with Dale Earnhardt Jr. And as we see the field go into turn 1, and here's that battle I talked about. TJ Majors right behind Will Power, two talented guys when it comes to racing on the sim and iRacing.
Yeah, if I was going to pick a spotter, it would be TJ Majors. I mean, I listened to him with Dale Jr. I've listened to him with Joey Logano. This guy, he knows what he's doing. I think it shows when he gets one of these cars. He understands what it takes to be successful, and he really relays that to the drivers that he's worked with.
Good look here at Anthony Alfredo. Big news for him in the offseason, announcing he's going to go cup racing. And I think there were a lot of people that weren't quite ready for the success he had driving for Richard Childress Racing last year in the Xfinity Series, Larry. And this is the foundation of his career. He's one of the best in the business when it comes to iRacing.
I actually talked to him the other day, Adam, and I just what a bright young man. I think he's got a really bright future. I think he's kind of got his expectations, a little bit not over the top for this year. He will be running for Rookie of the Year, most notably against Chase Briscoe, but he's a very grounded young man.
And he's going for second here. How about this move, Darrell?
Oh, he's on it. Yeah, he's definitely got a good car. He drove that thing in the bottom right there. Looks like he might be able to make the pass. But you talked about a spotter. You talk about a crew chief. Really, it's all about the driver. It's all about him steering that car, him when he gets off the throttle, when he gets into the throttle. It's just so much. Everything really falls in the driver's lap. I think I just do not have a spotter or a crew chief, and just let me do it on my own. I think it'd be better for me that way.
Wait a minute, DW. I spotted for you a few times in that truck you drove.
I know. What was a conveyor belt? I never was sure about that.
That means cars all the way around the racetrack.
You guys were talking about spotters. We got a glimpse there of David Schildhouse, who's a NASCAR spotter, 43 wins, 629 official starts in iRacing, so he's been really good when it comes to the iRacing side of things. And it continues to be Rajah Caruth who leads. We're over halfway to that competition caution. It will come at lap 20. Anthony Alfredo up to second. He was able to get around Ryan Vargas. And I know Caruth feels good, and I'm sure the clean air is great, but he's got to be checking that mirror and seeing Anthony Alfredo, the other AA, who is heating him up right now in the corner.
Oh, you like that, don't you, Double A? You picked right up on that. Yeah, I just think right now, we know we're going to have a caution. And so I think these guys are just biding their time. They know there's good ways to go in this race. You're not going to see anything crazy out of these front runners. I think we're just going to come up on the caution, maybe make a change or two to the car and then go at it again.
They're definitely starting to put some distance on the third, fourth, and fifth place car back there. Ryan Vargas in that 6 car running third. He's almost a full second behind these top two.
I think that's the thing about this track. This track is big. It's got sweeping turns. And if you have a car that you can really drive down in the corner, carry a lot of speed into the corner, get back in the throttle, and get up off the corner without it jumping sideways or getting loose, you're gonna gap the field like what we see right now.
5 laps away from the competition caution. Tonight it is the SimSeats 150 from the Homestead Miami Speedway. And since 2009, SimSeats has been designing and fabricating high-quality, made-in-the-USA driving simulators, including motion systems, complete turnkey, iRacing packages, and custom fabrication. Our customer base includes all racers from amateur to the pro ranks. Everyone at SimSeats is a weekend racer, too. Our passion for racing drives us to build better sim racing equipment and leaves us feeling that the weekend just doesn't cut it. Join us for the thrill of racing anytime, any day, any car, any track. Visit the website at sim-seats.com. And as always, we appreciate their support on Monday Night Racing.
Adam, I think when we have an in-car camera of some of the drivers, I think you'll see that the guys that are leading this race, the car's pretty neutral. They're not having to turn the wheel real hard left, just easing the car down in the corner. You come up off the corner nice and smooth. You can see there's not a lot of movement in the wheel. The car kind of takes its set, it's got its head, it goes down in here, and the driver hugs that bottom, and that car looks really, really stable, and that's what you want in this early going.
I see two things going on as we look at Anthony Alfredo. He's actually started to slide back a little bit now after kind of making a run at Rajah Caruth, but the track is starting to take some rubber. You can start to see the track getting blacker, plus the track is cooling down. And James and Taylor talked about that in the pre-race show, the track gaining grip, but it's also like these cars maybe get a little looser with this aero package as the track cools down.
Yeah, it's funny how that works. I always feel like the cars, you thought the track cool down, you'd pick up grip, and the car would be a little tighter. But in fact, these cars, even in the Cup Series, the sun goes down, the track cools down, the cars got looser. So I'm not sure a lot of things you can do to fix that. It's really all falls back in the driver's hands. How hard do I drive this into the corner? How loose do I want this car? If I'm loose, I'm going to wear out my right rear. If I'm tight, I'm going to wear out my right front. So I've got to have a car that's pretty balanced if I'm going to maintain speed.
And there's the caution, and this will be the competition caution. And somebody we need to give an attaboy to in the early going is Gabe Wood. He's been fast on this track throughout practice, qualified up front, and he is third behind Carruth and Alfredo, one of those that really needs to have a big outing tonight if he's going to make his way into the playoffs. So Gabe Wood off to a really good start. The tire specialist at JD Motorsports putting a big effort in tonight in the regular season finale to try to get himself a position in the postseason. Since the caution is out, let's check in with James and Taylor and see what they have for us.
Yeah, a fun little note about Anthony Alfredo. For those who are part of the sim racing community, you'll know that iRacing hosted its annual 24 Hours of Daytona event over the weekend. That's where folks who run on their simulators and their rigs, just the every folk, can team up and run a full 24-hour race. Over 7,000 drivers competed in 47 simultaneous separate races, and in the 33rd of those races, Anthony Alfredo took the overall victory at his very first attempt of the event with James Davison and Garrett Smithley, and race control tonight, Josh Mendoza. So coming off a bit of a high off of the 24-hour win, we'll see if it translates to success tonight here at Homestead, Miami.
Well, there's no question about that he's a driver that has made a name for himself in so many facets of racing. I talked about what he did in 2020, driving in the NASCAR Xfinity Series, a part-time effort for Richard Childress Racing. We've mentioned the move to Front Row Motorsports. The expectations continue to come in. Now pit stops, and you want to stay ahead of the game here, Larry Mack.
Yeah, I think this will be 4 tires for everyone, but you know, pit road speed, 55 miles per hour, and the penalty is huge. If you get busted, they hold you for 40 seconds from your pit box, but a big success of the pit stop is how the driver gets in and out of that box.
From this point forward is when we'll really start to watch strategy, because if you play it right, the window is open maybe to go the distance from here. You might need the aid of a caution. James?
Potentially. We'll see how the cautions play out over the course of this race, but tonight's race is also brought to us by our friends at Max Pappas Innovations. And for those of you who have been paying attention to the Monday Night Racing Twitter account over the course of the past few days, you know that there's been a contest on Twitter to see if you can win one of the wheels from MPI's brand new SimLab line. Wheels dedicated specifically for sim racing rigs and setups. Fans have been tweeting their chances to win over the past few days, and the winner of the contest is Daniel Adam. Daniel Adam is the one who comes away with the wheel at Revo Racing 2 on Twitter. And that contest brought to us by our friends at Max Pappas Innovations, the world's premier manufacturer of steering wheels, founded in 2009 by Max and Tatiana Pappas in Mooresville, North Carolina. MPI takes every aspect of construction and safety to heart to build the best possible products in the most accurate and detailed means and way. MPI partners have claimed 13 NASCAR championships, 4 World of Outlaws championships, 2 IndyCar titles, 2 Australian Supercars titles, and 1 NHRA championship. For more information, you can find out everything you need to know about MPI, www.maxpappasinc.com. So we're sending a wheel to Germany, Adam, and we've got one Monday Night Racing fan who's definitely a little bit happier exiting this evening than he was entering.
Thank you, James. Congratulations to our winner. And if you have a chance to go up and see MPI or meet Max, you really need to take advantage of that as a race fan. Max, one of the great personalities. He spent so much time behind the wheel, really at every level, many different disciplines. He's been a driver coach. I know early in his career he was a big part of what William Byron was doing. Of course, we know William now is a winner at the Cup level, a champion in the Xfinity Series. Max played a big role in helping him along the way. And like I said, just one of the real good guys and fun people to be around when it comes to motorsports, and it's great to have Max on board tonight, and we congratulate our winner and look forward to getting that steering wheel out soon. We're under caution for the second time tonight. This is the competition caution just past lap 20 of 100 in the Sim Seats 150 from the virtual Homestead Miami Speedway. Back after a break.
there's a place where fire and flavor are celebrated, where grilling traditions and new techniques are perfected. Here in Big Green Egg Country, you can grill it, roast it, smoke it, or bake it. It's the most versatile grill you'll ever own. Simple delight, easy to use, comes with a free lifetime warranty. Have it delivered to your door by a certified dealer in your community and start enjoying the ultimate cooking experience. Shop online for home delivery at biggreenegg.com. That's biggreenegg.com.
Strategy under this, our second caution of the night, Larry.
Everybody hit pit road for 4 tires except that 64 car, Drew Walker, a NASCAR engineer. He's going to have to engineer some magic because he's sitting out there about 22 lap tires.
Hey, Drew, hang on. They're coming after you.
Yeah, we'll see how this works. Now, I don't like that call.
It's the green flag sponsored by Big Green Egg, and here we go once again from Homestead, Miami Speedway. Drew on the inside lane, Carruth outside, and a really good start behind him for Anthony Alfredo. That's who it really worked out for. Gabe Wood made up a position on pit road, but he restarted third on that inside lane. That means he's behind Welker. That really hurt him on the restart.
Gosh, see Drew Walker in that 64 DW, just no grip at all.
No, none whatsoever. I don't know if that was a great call.
And just like the opening of the race, we have a big accident.
I'll say.
The confidence level exceeded the grip level.
Ran out of talent.
They did fine on those older tires on the earlier restart. Here they've got fresh tires, and apparently they're cold. This is Welker that goes wide. Of course, he had stayed out. Parker Kligerman, one of the pre-race favorites, one of those drivers that got a piece of the action there.
Man. Just all started when that 64 car out there on those old tires just couldn't go anywhere. You'll see them all the way against the wall here, and they just start stacking up and spinning.
Larry, I'm thinking 64 must not have a crew chief or a spotter, because I just don't know that a good crew chief or a spotter would have let him not come in and put tires on at that point.
Looks like Will Power was in the middle of that, among others. So our third caution of the night, and this will make for an interesting restart, because now you put on the front row Carruth with Alfredo, and these are the two drivers that really have shown the speed tonight. Alfredo on that early run, as we continue to look at replays of the accident coming off a turn 4 and up toward the front straightaway there. I like what Carruth has been able to do. Started on the pole and has really been good out front, but right now he's going to have to manage a restart with Anthony Alfredo alongside. We'll see what the experience does here for that 38 car.
Well, I like that 99, though, because the car looks neutral. He doesn't look like he's loose in or tight off. He looks pretty neutral.
Now, DW, you've been around for a long time, and we know you like to play games, whether it's in the broadcast booth, on the golf course, or in particular on the racetrack. So you're the veteran driver, and you know you're starting alongside a young guy who maybe just doesn't have the confidence he needs. What kind of games are you going to play with a young driver in this situation on a restart?
Well, here's one thing you can know about a young driver. What they don't know, they don't know. And so he doesn't know what to anticipate. He doesn't know if a car being beside him is going to make him push, loose, tight. He just doesn't know that right now. He's getting ready to go to school. He might learn something here. But I really believe his car is fast enough that on a good restart, he's just going to be hard to get around at this point.
And Darryl, you talked about cars being neutral or a little tight or a little loose. It was mentioned earlier, but I think it bears worth repeating. Every car out there, every driver is a fixed setup determined by iRacing. You can't make air pressure adjustments on a pit stop. You can't adjust wedge or the track bar. The only thing the driver can adjust, and I don't think it's a big deal here at Homestead, is the brake balance, the brake bias between front and rear. You've got what you got pretty much once the green flag waved.
And I think, Larry, that's why NASCAR's been able to run a lot of the races that they've run the past year with no practice. Because the drivers, they get to run these sim races. They get to run the track on the sim, and so they kind of know what they've got before they get there, and they don't need a lot of practice because of the technology that we have today.
think that's where I go back to the experience and what that means and how you take care of this race car over the long haul. And now, most conventional strategy that we anticipated going into tonight's race, you have the competition caution, you pit somewhere on the other side of lap 20. Now you pretty much split this thing in half, Larry, and if you do that, that means you're going to run, roughly 40 laps under the green flag, maybe 25 to 30 now that we've had a caution mixed in here. It really puts it in the hands of the drivers and how well you're able to take care of that race car, because not a lot's changed in regard to handling since you came down pit road and got those fresh tires.
Cautions change everything. We were talking at our production meeting today. There's probably going to be a driver or some drivers, especially with these cautions, that they maybe will try to do it without stopping, because you're right there on the threshold of fuel, of making it to the end, and these cautions just aid in that strategy.
Yeah, I think that'd be my plan, Larry. If I had a pretty good car, I'd take care of my tires and try to nurse this thing to the end.
Don't ask Drew Welker about that strategy. It did not work out for the 64. He stayed out on that last caution and was restarting in the top position. Unfortunately, fell back, hit the wall, and has suffered some damage. So the restart here comes as we complete lap 29. Inside lane, Rajah Caruth, the pole sitter. Outside of him in that red, white, and blue number 38, Anthony Alfredo. It's the green flag on Podium eSports, brought to you by Big Green Egg.
Adam, remember I said, if I have a good car. I'm not sure how good that 64 car was, even, and certainly not that good with no tires.
Vargas in that 6 car tried to make a move down the front stretch on Alfredo, and Alfredo had to throw a block on him as they entered into turn 1. We know that didn't work out well for Carl Edwards and Joey Logano a few years ago in the championship race.
That's when Carl went down and paid a visit to Todd Gordon, and we were all nervous about what the other end of that was going to bring.
When Carl quit racing.
Yeah, it brought retirement. That's it, I'm out of here.
Look at David Schildhouse making some noise inside the top 5. Right behind Gabe Wood. We talked about the 50 and how strong he has been throughout the weekend practice in anticipation of this race.
Yeah, right there now, that's the way you want to make a pass. You get that nice draft, you get a run down the straightaway, and then you just drive in a little bit lower in the car in front of you, scoot him up the hill, and go right by.
Schildhouse in that 20 car, remember, he has not run enough races to qualify for the playoffs. So realistically, it's about checkered flags and winning races for him in that 20.
Checkers are records. I like it.
And he's doing what Darrell said, making the move to the inside of Gabe Wood. Next person he'll see on track is the 6 of Ryan Vargas. And, Vargas started on the front row, ran second for a good portion of the first 10, 15 laps. Once he fell back, he's really lost touch with the leaders, and he might lose third here. Schildhouse looks really strong in that 20 car.
But Adam, that's on this racetrack, when you're running a low line like this, you've got to get under the guy. You've got to get under him and push him up the hill and make the pass. And if you can stay on the throttle just a little wee bit longer, just like we see the 20 car here do, just a little wee bit longer than the guy in front of you, then you can make that pass, get by him, and go on.
When do you feel him? When you're Vargas there and Schildhouse gets down to the inside, when do you really feel that he's there and coming after you for position, Darrell?
You kind of bust the bubble. There's a bubble of air that's around these cars, and as soon as you get to that break point where you can bust through that bubble, then your car frees up and his car slows down and you're able to make the pass.
We're seeing the same thing right now that we saw earlier in the race. Alfredo in that 38 car, he is making a move on Caruth in the 99, but remember, right before the competition caution, Alfredo's car started to go away. It started to fade.
I just like the shot. I love the shot. I love to get in the car where I can see the driver's hands. I kind of know what he's dealing with. This car looks pretty neutral. Down the straightaway here, we're going to head off in the third turn. The car looks pretty stable. Looks like he's floating it in there. It's not loose in. Looks like it's nice and smooth up off the corner. It's not loose off. These two cars are set up just about the same. Well, they are set up the same, and they're driving really, really well.
If you're
Adam, remember, Adam, you can have a different steering ratio. That's one thing that I think that you can change, different ratios that you run in the steering box, and that can make a huge difference in how your car handles.
On board with Gabe Wood, he's fallen to 6th, and Larry, look who passed him. Parker Kligerman, who just missed that accident a while ago. He's got himself inside the top 5. And you know what? Every time we show up for Monday Night Racing, Parker Kligerman is someone you have to keep an eye on. That 77 car always fast in iRacing.
Well, it's funny. Parker Kligerman has impressed the heck out of me. In the trucks, I mean, he's done an incredible job in the truck series. And he races. He doesn't race every week. But when he gets in a car or a truck now, he's somebody you got to beat. He's a contender.
Yeah, and he's a lot like Schillhouse. He has not run enough races to qualify for the playoffs. So Parker Kligerman in that 77, he's here just trying to win the race and get a trophy.
But he's second on the all-time wins list when you talk about Monday Night Racing. 5 career victories for him, 2 coming earlier this year. He won the second race of the season at Las Vegas when we were running the trucks. He was also able to win at Knoxville in the truck when we went dirt racing. And that's the other thing I'd say about Monday Night Racing. I mean, we talk about diverse racing series. In Monday Night Racing, you're racing all different kinds of cars on road courses, on ovals. You're racing on dirt. You're racing on asphalt. Parker Kligerman has kind of taken advantage of all of them. And someone else that's also a player and known for what they do in iRacing, you saw him one more time in the second position. Here's Kligerman. Up in front of him, Anthony Alfredo, who continues to impress. Just stayed in the tire tracks of Rajah Caruth in that second spot.
Yeah, and we talk about whether you're eligible for the playoffs or not. I don't think some guys, I don't really know if that's a big deal to them. They just want to win. You make a name for yourself. When you go back to the shop or when you go back to your job, how'd the race go? I won. I think that's what some of these guys, that's all they're really worried about, is if I can just get me a win, that's worth a lot.
Saw the 48 there. That's Josh Slate. Beating on the backside of Will Power. This a battle inside the top 10. Power led a bunch of laps last weekend at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park before falling to James Davison. And he's going to lose a position here to Slate, the co-owner of Behind the Wall Media, journalist at Speedway Digest. Looking good, that 48 car.
Yeah, I thought Jimmy Johnson was driving that car there for a minute, but I guess maybe he turned the wheel over to somebody else.
Remember, Will Power in that one car was involved in that wreck a while ago when the 64 car stayed out on tires. And there you saw 51, James Davison, talk about diversity. He won the IndyCar race at Auto Club, the Porsche race at Mossport last Monday night. Here he is in the Cup race tonight in that 51 car. But he's kind of falling behind. He's not having the night that he had these last 2 weeks.
You say, Moss?
Larry, I think a lot of these guys, they like that. He's an open wheel racer. That's what he's kind of specialty. But I think they like the challenge of something different. I tell you, when you just do the same thing over and over and over, week in, week out, you get a little bit bored. So it's kind of fun to try something different, work on your skills, see where you're lacking, and maybe you can improve.
On board there for a moment with Gary Sexton driving the 13, Podium eSports graphic designer. Gary, one of those drivers locked in to the playoffs on points. Yet to win this year, but has been very consistent, and he will be a part of the championship equation when the playoffs begin in a couple of weeks. Hey, guys, we've been talking about it every time we get a restart. One of our great sponsors is Big Green Egg. It's the world's largest producer and international distributor of the highest quality ceramic Kamado-style charcoal grill. The Big Green Egg has spent over 40 years mastering the recipe for the best, most versatile, fuel-efficient, and easy-to-use Kamado-style grill across the globe. The Egg offers more cooking options than all other conventional cookers combined. With an Egg, there is simply no need for a separate grill, smoker, pizza oven, or rotisserie device. The Egg does all of this and more to perfection. For more information, visit their website. It's biggreenegg.com.
So, Adam, it's a perfect segue. When the tires start to go away, the car gets a little loose, gets a little tight. You got to drive this car. Remember, the drivers are driving. They're steering the cars. They're gassing the cars. And you have to drive this thing when the tires start to go away like it's got a green egg under your foot. So you can't just mat it every time you get ready to come up off the corner. You got to work that throttle, play with it a little bit, and finesse the car And a lot of times I used to say it's like you had an egg under the accelerator. You didn't want to mash it.
Hey, you might have been away from broadcasting for a little bit, Daryl, but you still are the master of the segue. That was very nice.
Oh, man.
Daryl, to your point, we're 15 laps into this run since that last caution, and the pace has fallen off roughly 1.5 seconds, and that's just lack of grip on these older tires.
At night, but the track does it picks up speed, and so as the cars go faster, the tires wear quicker. And so I think that's one of those things the driver has to realize, and then he has to be able to manage those tires to get the most out of them. And some guys can do that, and some guys can't. Some guys just know how to man it. That's all they know how to do. Hold it wide open, hope for the best. But you got to be able to finesse this thing.
This is when you earn your money right now, Daryl. You got to be able to finesse it. You got to drive it like you got that green egg down underneath your foot. And the tires are going away, so the driver is completely uncomfortable. Hey, Larry Mack, be ready on the horn. The driver's getting ready to start complaining a whole bunch here because we're getting late on a run, and those tires, they are wearing out. We're closing on the midway point. It's the SimSeats 150 from the virtual Homestead Miami Speedway, the regular season finale in Monday Night Racing. We're happy to have you along on this Monday night.
We are an industrial flooring company specializing in custom floors and drains. We don't believe in the one-size-fits-all approach to flooring, and neither should you. When you choose Tufco, we consult with you about your needs, industry requirements, and factor in numerous variables. After assessing your facility, we engineer your floor and drains, then install everything ourselves. That's the Tufco way.
Visit our website at tufcoflooring.com.
Just about halfway home, the SimSeats 150 from the virtual Homestead Miami Speedway with America's crew chief Larry McReynolds and the Hall of Famer Darrell Waltrip. I'm Adam Alexander. Rajah Caruth is leading this thing. Let's get a midway race update, throw it back to James Pike and Taylor Burris.
And it is time, as per usual, as we hit the cross flags in tonight's race, to bring you our iRacing Midway Race Break, which as always is brought to you by iRacing, the world's premier online racing game. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat to experience today's newest form of competitive motorsport, virtual racing, all from your home PC. Race virtually in Australian supercars, IndyCar, IMSA, NASCAR, the World of Outlaws, and more. It is NASCAR iRacing Series extraordinaire Rajah Caruth in the lead. He's run this Cup car on the 1.5 miles so many times, so no shocker to see him having a good run. Anthony Alfredo currently holding down the second spot in the SimSeats Ford Mustang. David Schildhaus running in third. Good run for the 20 car. Ryan Vargas in fourth. Parker Kligerman has the last spot in the top 5. TJ Majors currently rides in 6th. 7th belongs to the 90 of Preston Pardis. Gabe Wood holds the 8th position. 9th belongs to Robbie Lyons. And Nick Sanchez, one of the street stocks in Phoenix in December, holds 10th at this point, Taylor.
Sitting in the 11th position is going to be NASCAR driver Garrett Smithley, followed by Joshua Slate in 12th position. Brandon Brown started in 20th, worked his way up to 13th in the leaderboard, followed by an IndyCar ace, Will Power, in 14th. Noah Lewis will be sitting in the 15th position, followed by DJ Cummings. He's one of those championship contenders trying to see if he can make it into the playoffs. He currently sits in the 16th position, followed by Will Rogers in 17th. Gary Sexton sits in the 18th position, followed by James Davison, looking for his third win so far this season in Monday Night Racing. Sits in 19th with Josh Balicki, rounding out your top 20.
Steve Affon is right in the thick of the playoff battle. He rides to the 21st spot, just ahead of Ford Martin, and most notably, one of the drivers he's fighting for a playoff spot against. Seth Eggert rides in 23rd. Matt Solkonek holds the 24th spot. 25th belongs to former Xfinity Series champion Jeff Green. Jesse Vaughn rides to the 26th position this time. 27th belongs to Max Kennan. Stephen Ellis holds the 28th position. 29th is where you'll find Mark Rebellas and Bobby Labonte. Taylor holds the final spot in the top 30.
31st goes to NHRA champion Ron Capps, followed by Garrett Miller in 32nd. 33rd goes to Jason Keffer with Covey Moore in 34th. 35th position goes to Brett Baldeck, followed by Nick DeGroot, your Season 1 Monday Night Racing champion. Tough break for him so far, sits in 36th, the last car on the lead lap. Greg Stump sits in 37th. Dylan Welch Front in 38th with Devin Henry 39th, 40th Michael Massey, and Drew Welker sits in 41st.
And that concludes tonight's iRacing Midway Race Break. With over 170,000 drivers on the service and over 90 laser scan tracks and cars to choose from, iRacing is your portal to the racing world. Get on track today at iRacing.com. And now, as we throw it back to Adam, DW, and Larry Mack, the question is whether or not Raja Karuth, who's been so strong in the mile and a half throughout his iRacing career, can hang on in the second half of tonight's race.
I think that is the question, James, because he has been so dominant, as you guys alluded to. And I think the bigger question here, Larry, becomes how do you play the strategy? Anytime you're at a track where there's enormous tire fall off, I think there's considerable pressure on the leader, because you know if someone behind you gets on track a lap or two earlier than you with the tire fall off and that faster lap time, that can be the difference in a position maybe 2 or 3. So what are you thinking from a strategy standpoint if you're Caruth, Alfredo, Schildhaus, and some of these other guys running up front?
Because now that we're this deep into this run, the fall off is pushing close to 2 seconds per lap. If you're going to do the split this last part of the race in half, we're closing in on that mark. Right now we're at lap 56, there's 45 to go. So somewhere around 35 to go is when you would make that move. But I would just be leery of that strategy, because if you do that and a caution comes out, it has burnt you to the point I just don't know if you're going to be able to make up that ground.
Daryl,
I'm watching Parker Klingerman here, and see, to me, he would be a guy that would understand these cars, these conditions, and how the tires are going to go away and how to manage that. And he's moving up, and I think he's a guy to keep an eye on. I know the cat leading the race got a great car, and I think what I like about his cars is so neutral. I think that's why he's able to lead the race with ease here. But I'm telling you, Parker Klingerman looks pretty fast to me too.
To what we talked about earlier in the whole bit of experience. And I think when you look at Klingerman, you know, we said it, he's won in so many different styles of cars at so many different tracks when it comes to Monday night iRacing and Monday night racing. And when you look at iRacing as a whole, he's one of the best there is of those that's able to run on a regular NASCAR circuit and then transition over to the sim. So he's got a real feel. He's comfortable. This is no big deal to him. I agree he's somebody to watch, and that's why I think also you have to look at Anthony Alfredo, tremendous in iRacing and running second. And I just wonder how much of that is him taking care of his equipment to see how this thing plays out over the long haul.
Yeah, you know what's interesting to me too is the variance in equipment. You know, one guy's got a laptop and he's racing his car off a laptop. Another guy's got, and it's a $1,500, $2,000 laptop. Another guy's got a $35,000, $40,000 rig with a seat, steering wheel, 3 screens, but they're able to compete against each other. The equipment seems to not make that much difference like it does in other forms of racing. So I really like that about this kind of racing.
Daryl, you and I were talking the other day. We had that in-car camera shot of Ryan Vargas. Now we're on the in-car shot here of the 50 car of Gabe Wood. And the digital dash, it has the lap time that they are running right there. Like his last lap time was a 33.64, Gabe Wood. Well, at the beginning of this run, they were running mid-31s. So it not only does the driver feel it, Daryl, but he has it right there as far as on his digital dash, the lap time.
Well, it just becomes a matter of, again, managing your car. You can't drive in quite as far. You can't get back in the gas quite as quick. You have to wait on everything, so it becomes a waiting game. You can't drive in hard and you can't get back in the gas, so you got to wait on the car to catch up. And that's why you start to lose a little bit speed. Some guys, again, Larry, it's amazing to me. Some guys understand that and know how to deal with it. Other guys panic. Oh, my car's going away. I don't know what I'm going to do. And they end up in trouble. But I like it when a guy can manage his car, take care of it, and have something for the end of this race.
Hey, someone we've talked about that's doing a great job tonight, driving with a ton of pressure, and that's Gabe Wood. He's 8th right now. We've mentioned him a few times. Larry, you just popped him a minute ago, trying to race his way into a playoff position. He came in 16th. He was a couple of spots below that last transfer position, but the tire specialist over at JD Motorsports brought his A game tonight, and he is working hard and going to have to work really hard in the final 38 laps to find himself in a postseason position, racing to the outside of the 90. That's Preston Pardis.
You see, on the steering wheel, you notice he had that red piece of tape. That tape tells you that that's straight ahead. That's when your wheels, you see that red piece of tape is going down to the left there. That tells you when your car is going straight down the track or for the pits and everything else. I'm surprised how far he's having to turn his car to the left. Tells me this car is pretty tight because he's really having to crank. Look, he crank. Man, turn. Come on, car, turn. So this car is pretty tight, and that's why he's moved up against the wall, trying to find a groove up there that this tight race car will operate in.
And we have reached that window. If anybody was going to be brave enough and roll the dice to split it in half, we're pretty much there. It just appears to me that everybody's a little leery of doing that for getting burnt. Oh, we got a taker right here, though. So right on top of that split in that window, we've got somebody on pit road.
It's our first of those making a green flag pit stop.
We do have some takers on this strategy.
Yeah. Well, Larry, you know how it goes. Monkey see, monkey do. So one monkey, he comes in, here comes the rest of them.
Give me getting onto pit road on old tires under the green flag at a place like Miami. What is the challenge that these drivers face tonight?
Yeah, once you slow down and you get out of the groove, the racing groove, you pick up all the debris off the track, and the tire, you pick that up as you slow down, and so you don't have the kind of grip you had when you were up on the racetrack. So again, that's where experience pays off. That's when you got to know that that's going to happen and be prepared for it. So can't jam on the brakes. You got to ride this thing slowly down into the pit lane because your tires are going to pick up that debris and the car's not going to drive right.
Haven't mentioned the 19 of Robbie Lyons tonight. Spent some time in the NASCAR Xfinity Series, Camping World Truck Series. He's been impressive. Driver out of Seminole, Florida. Met him at the airport traveling to the racetrack, and he's one of those guys that, quite honestly, doesn't matter if he's going to drive on a weekend or he's just going to come and assist the race team. He brings his A game. He comes prepared. He wants to be a part of it, rolls his sleeves up and goes to work and doing a solid job tonight. Inside the top 10, running right behind Gabe Wood. We're right around the mark where we anticipate we could see more green flag pit stops. We've seen a couple of drivers come down, but the front runners have stayed out so far. Taylor, what can you add?
Well, we have a bit of a change right now in the point standings with Gabe Wood sitting inside the top 10 as they run right now. That puts him in the transfer to be able to battle it out for a championship in the top 13. Meanwhile, as well, for Steve Affont, as well, as he is outside now, looking in by about 3 points from Seth Eggert as well. So those two who are in the side outside the top 15 are going to have to try and find their way during this green flag pit stop to get up through the field right now. So they're going to have a lot of work ahead of them, as we see Steve Affont currently sits in 17th after starting 35th.
Yeah, he's running, as you said, in the 17th position, and he came in with a playoff spot, but right now finds himself 3 points below the cut line. That's got to be stressful as a driver, DW.
Yeah, particularly, I don't know if he has a crew chief or a spotter, but when you're just kind of figuring this out on your own, that's an extra load on the driver. But listen, what we're going to see over the next 30 laps, the guys that have been managing their tires, guys that were back in the field, they're going to start to move forward. They're going to start passing cars. Guys that were running hard, running fast pace, they're going to slow down a little bit. And some of these guys have been managing their tires, saving them from the end. Might be a surprise in here somewhere.
A little update. Some of the drivers that selected to come to pit road, the number 1 of Will Power hit pit road a few laps ago, the 51 of James Davison, as well as that 2 car of TJ Majors that had been running inside the top 10.
And those are the drivers primarily that we're going to want to focus on, because they're the ones, as you said, Larry, that had the speed to run inside the top 10. They give up the track position to come and get the tires. And if, in fact, these drivers that we see on track now running up in the top 5 or 7 stay out, we'll see which strategy is best. Is it pitting, getting the fresh tires and trying to rally from behind, or is it stay out and manage the old tires till the end? What do you have, Larry?
What I'm looking at, it looks like to me that Ryan Vargas in that 6 car, Anthony Alfredo on the 38, that they have hit pit road. And there you see the 99, Rajah Caruth. He is on pit road here with about 30 laps to go.
He's dominated this race, and as you said, he comes down pit road with 30 laps remaining. Started on the pole, absolutely has been incredible at managing the lead, and now a pit stop comes under the green flag condition. We'll see if he can take care of business, and all of that with these guys coming to the pit lane under green turns the top spot over to the 19 of Robbie Lyons. He is now your race leader. Gabe Wood is up to second. And you have to watch Wood because he's that driver that we talked about having a magnificent night and trying to put himself in to a playoff position.
Yeah, I think you lose so much time making these pit stops. You're hoping for a caution. I think that's
like the top 11 cars, DW, they still are out on the racetrack. They have not made it to pit road during these green flag stops.
Well, I think that's strategy, Larry. I mean, those front guys are going to pit. One guy pits, they all pit. But then there's the guys in the middle of the field on back. What have they got to lose? I mean, they stay out, they don't get a caution, things don't change. Maybe they get a better finish than they would have if they'd have come down pit road and got 4 tires.
28 laps to go. It is the regular season finale for Monday night racing from Podium eSports. And Tufco Flooring is an industrial flooring company specializing in custom floors and drains. Tufco doesn't believe in the one-size-fits-all approach, and neither should you. Tufco listens to your needs and requirements and develops custom solutions for every client. For more information, visit their website. It's tufcoflooring.com. Last check I saw, Carruth made the pit stop, returned to the racetrack, and Larry was running in the 15th position. What can you tell us now as you look at timing and scoring and how this thing might sort out?
It's going to be interesting because it looks like to me right now about the top 5 cars they're still out on the racetrack. Right now, the top running car that made a stop, Adam, was TJ Majors in that 2 car. Now he's running about a second and a half, second and 3/4 faster than the leader. And right now he's 20 seconds behind with roughly 25 laps to go. So it's going to come down to the wire here if indeed those top 5 try to run this thing to the end, especially our leader, Robbie Lyons, in that 19 car.
And Larry, again, this track is very forgiving. It's wide. You can run high. You can run low. And so you're not all packed up on top of each other like we saw in the start of these races. You get strung out, and really and truly all the driver right now is doing, managing his car. Getting the most speed out of that car without abusing the tires, without abusing anything, trying to make it to the finish. That's what he's hoping for now.
Now, honestly, Anthony Alfredo, he's taken over that 6th spot with his fresh tires. He's 18 seconds behind. I mean, he's gonna. If Robbie Lyons indeed stays out, he's gonna catch him in the next 10 laps easily.
But here's the other thing, Larry, and we talked about this, and your math might confirm it, but I believe Alfredo came a couple of laps earlier than Rajah Carruth. Alfredo, was running in the 2nd position. He's now up to 6th. As you said, Carruth is 8th. So the exchange would have happened there. Those were the 2 that ran 1-2 virtually all night before we got this cycle of green flag pit stops. You agree with all that?
Alfredo came 1 lap earlier, but think about it. 1 lap is like 2.5 seconds that he gained an advantage on those fresh tires.
Yep.
But think about this, Larry and Adam. Those fresh tires are going to pay off for a little while. But at some point, they're going to start to give up, and they're going to start to lose speed. And so if that guy leading this race can maintain a decent speed as he is right now, and these guys start to slow a little bit, it's going to be really close. It's a nail-biter.
The top 5 real quick. We got Robbie Lyons, who has made the 1 pit stop, but that came back under the competition caution. Everybody else has been on pit road at least twice, and most recently in this cycle of green flag pit stops that we just had. Garrett Smithley is 2nd. Matthew Stallneck is 3rd. 4th right now is Jeff Green, the NASCAR Xfinity Series champion out of Owensboro, Kentucky. 5th and rounding out the top 5 is Will Rogers. Then we get to the 6th position, and that would be Anthony Alfredo, followed by TJ Majors and Rajah Carruth, who started on the pole and has had such a great car tonight. We're closing on 20 laps to go at the Homestead Miami Speedway.
Honestly, the only way this strategy works out for those top four, including Robbie Lyons, what they need right now, if they're here to win the race, and I assume that's what they're here to do, they're going to need a caution because, again, Anthony Alfredo just keeps carving into it. He's only 10 seconds behind Robbie Lyons right now with roughly 20 laps to go.
Yeah, but he's working a little traffic, and there's still some, his best lap is one thing, but then you got to work the traffic. The tires are going to fall off a little bit. He's going to push it a little harder. So I don't know. I'm still thinking those guys that stayed out have got a pretty good shot.
This is cool, though, for Robbie Lyons, because when this strategy was suggested earlier today, and we were talking about the various things that could play out in this race in our production meeting, and I heard the idea floated that you pit at the competition caution and then you stay out and you nurse your race car. I'm like, whoa. That seems like a long way to go on fuel, but number two, your tires are absolutely going to be worn out. And it was hard for me to imagine that someone could make this strategy work. Now Robbie Lyons has made his bed, right? With 19 laps to go, he's going to try to make this work. And I got to tell you, this is gutsy. If he's able to hang on, that would be very, very impressive. And they're starting to really run in and around him right now.
Adam, here's what you want. When the race is over with, you want the tires to be worn out. You want the car to be worn out. You want the driver to be worn out. But you got enough power to get out of that car and celebrate in victory lane. That's what you're hoping.
And they're starting to get to him now. What do you see in this replay, Larry? They're racing in traffic. Look at Carruth and Alfredo going at it.
And again, that was the battle for third spot. Carruth, who just dominated this race early in that 99 car. You can see him get into that left rear, DW, of Alfredo, and that made Alfredo have to jump out of the throttle.
Well, he's pushing it. There's no doubt about it. He knows he's got to go. He's got to catch that leader, and he's not leaving anything on the table. I'll say that. Getting into that car, whew, that was dicey.
I'll tell you what, if
Second spot now, Adam.
Yeah, if Carruth comes back and wins this thing, what a night for this young kid. Because even though he had a fast race car, the strategy is one that put him behind the 8 ball, and he has not given up. And now he finds himself only 4 seconds behind Robbie Lyons, and he is slicing into that advantage with 16 laps to go.
Well, I like this car all night long. I mean, this car's led the most laps, been up front. The kid's done a great job of driving the car. The cars look nice and neutral. I mean, I've liked this car all night long. I didn't know if this strategy was going to work out or not, but looks like it's probably going to.
It's down now to 3.4 seconds. The lap times are just so much faster right now for Carruth.
This ran a 32.65. Leader Robbie Lyons ran a 34 flat, and now Carruth is less than 3 seconds behind Robbie Lyons in that 19 car.
And Darrell, if you're Robbie Lyons, you want the caution, right? I mean, you want a caution here and hope that everybody comes down pit road to get tires so you can maintain this advantage, because on those older tires, he appears to be a sitting duck as we close on 10 laps remaining.
Well, I think, yeah, that and the fact that, Robbie Lyons might be saying, I'm going to get a whole lot better finish than I thought I was going to get. So I stayed out, I gambled, and maybe I'm not going to win this race, but I got a nice finish out of our gamble tonight.
Hey guys, the Podium 500, the largest super speedway special event in iRacing, returns February 7th, 2021, just a couple of weeks away. Over 250 drivers will compete on the high banks of Daytona to claim a spot amongst the 43 that start Sunday's 500-mile, 200-lap, 1,000-to-win feature event. All Podium 500 events will be broadcast live on twitch.tv/Podium eSports. Register for $10 now at podiumesports.com/podium-500. That will be a good one. February 7th. We look forward to it, courtesy of Podium eSports and iRacing.
We just saw the 19 car Robbie Lyons. He hit pit road. I get a feeling with these few laps to go, as you can see 12, 13 laps to go, probably he maybe ran that thing all but out of fuel. I wouldn't have pictured him coming just to get tires that close to the finish.
I wouldn't either, unless he felt something, or it felt like he had a problem, or maybe he just felt like the tires were worn out and he had to come before he blew one out or something. I don't know. It is strange.
So now we're right back where we started. You got Rajah Caruth, who started on the pole leading this thing. Anthony Alfredo is second, a couple of seconds behind. Got to give some love to the third-place runner right now. David Schildhouse from Scottsdale, Arizona in the third position. Parker Kligerman is fourth. And you know someone who's been in the game all night long, Matt Stallknecht, he's got a playoff position. And now we get a caution with 12 to go. This could change everything.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
What are you going to do now, crew chief? What do you want me to do?
I believe if you're one of those drivers that's up there in the near the front, let's take a replay and then we'll take a look at the strategy, Adam.
Yeah, and it appears here it's the 69 Mark Robulis out of Glendale, Arizona, who had some problems. And into the wall he goes. He's not the only one involved in this incident. So a tough break here. It looks like Ford Martin even got a piece of the action. Now, the good news for Ford, he was already locked in to the playoffs, so this will not impede his progress to going for the championship. We'll start competing there in a couple of weeks' time. On board here with Ford.
Something spectacular, so we would be able to mention his name. I know how those Martin boys are.
And I think I took a peek at Twitter earlier. I think his dad Gil might be watching tonight. So Gil, it's great.
I'm sure he is. Gil, great friend of mine from Nashville. He was Bobby Hamilton's crew chief, and Gil's been around a while, and a great guy, great family. I love Ford, good people.
So they do come down pit road, Larry, and now you got those fresh tires. Going to have to manage a restart with right around 10 laps remaining.
It appears all of the leaders came to pit road, and by my looking at the pit times, everybody went with 4 fresh tires. They had about 18 or 19 laps on the tires, so I think they knew to be aggressive and to be able to get up there and try to win this thing, that you had to come get those 4 fresh tires.
What advice are you giving on a restart here, Daryl?
Don't look back. keep digging, baby, because it's going to be interesting to see who stays out, see who's at the front of the field. The end of these races, anything can happen. Just be on your toes, try to avoid any accidents, and go like crazy.
Now, there were some guys that stayed out, but I think all that cycled through. So now it is going to be Caruth on the front row with Alfredo for this restart that will likely come with right around 7 laps on the board.
And this is going to be everybody held their position, and everybody did 4 tires that came to pit road.
It's going to be an exciting finish, because that 38 car has been right there all night long, especially on new tires. So this could get very interesting.
What do you have for us, James?
But just making sure that everybody's up to speed on the green, white, checker rules. There are 3 attempts available in this race if we need them. And on that last attempt, if we get to number 3, we're going all the way no matter what, no matter whether or not they wreck on that first lap or the second lap. So that's something we need to be mindful of. Also, another point that was brought up to me by Race Control, Rajah Caruth has completed the minimum number of starts to get himself into the playoffs if he wins. So if Rajah wins, it could potentially bump one of Seth Eggert or Steve Affon out. And that's something that I know those two are both very, very mindful of. They're hoping Anthony Alfredo or David Schildhouse can take this away win for the 99.
Wow. Isn't it funny how these races go, these cutoff races? You think you got it all figured out, who you got to beat, who you got to finish ahead of, where you got to finish, and then it just goes all haywire at the end of the race.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Rajah Caruth is someone tonight that has really made a name for himself. And if you win the race, not only is that huge, but as James talked about, you have the minimum number of starts. So now you're going to the playoffs, and on top of all that, you've got a ton of momentum. Listen to the names of drivers that have won this year. Kyle Busch, Parker Kligerman, Nick DeGroot, who won the championship a year ago, Preston Pardus, Will Rogers, James Davison. The list goes on and on. Rajah Caruth trying to add his name to that list, and in the process, put him in the playoffs for Season 2 of Monday Night Racing.
Yeah, he hopes they race this racetrack every week, because he's got his car set up pretty nice.
We're going to go green with 7 laps remaining. And of course, as always, our green flag is brought to you by Big Green Egg. No massaging the throttle here, DW. It's time to get after it.
No, and this is where you got to be careful as a young driver. You don't have a lot of experience, and you just can't do anything dumb. You don't want to beat yourself. I preach that all the time. It's going to be tense, going to be tight, so you got to maintain this and don't beat yourself.
Has been the place all night long. No different here. Carruth able to jump in front of Anthony Alfredo, and look at Parker Kligerman. He's up to third on this restart. Don't write him off yet.
What I did know, that 20 car of David Shellhouse, he got all the way down on the apron and really had to check up, and now we've got another caution out. Cautions breed cautions, don't they, DW?
That's what they say, Larry. It just seems to be that way. You get to the end of these races, the guys just turn off their brain. I don't know what happens. It happens to the best of them.
And James walked us through the green-white checker rule, and we might be up against our first attempt here. Caution comes out, 6 laps to go. We'll see how quickly we can go green once again, but we could very well be looking at some free racing tonight, a little extra period for the regular season finale if we can't get going in short order, and that would add to the drama of what we've seen in this race. Here's the replay of the crash.
Oh, no, 26 car just gets seriously loose by himself, spins around, takes out a bunch of cars.
Yeah, it's Jesse Vaughn. He's a spotter for Sam Hunt Racing, who will be competing in the NASCAR Xfinity Series in 2021.
And that's probably just a product of a lot of air moving off these cars with that big rear spoiler. And he just got himself in a position here. He's on the outside of the 45, got another car tucked under the back end of him. It just got him loose, turned him around.
Who's going to make this restart interesting, DW? You talked about him earlier. He has worked his way into the third spot. That's that 77 car of Parker Kligerman, and he's all about winning races.
He's come up through the field. I noticed, I watched him on that last restart. I don't know that he has a car that's capable of outrunning that 99 car, but he's certainly he could worry him to death, that's for sure.
but he's going to restart third, and that's because of the move that he made on that last restart that Larry referred to. So he's going to be tucked in right behind the race leader Rajah Carruth. What doors does that open for Kligerman here as we're going to have inside of 5 laps to go when we go green, Darrell?
But Adam, what I can tell you, a guy like Parker Kligerman, you can learn so much watching races. You watch them on TV, and then when you get in a situation like this, you know what to do. You've seen it done before. So I really like Parker Kligerman in a situation like this. I think you're right about one thing. It's all about winning. And if I were that 99 car, I wouldn't check up very much for that 77 on my rear bumper.
He's won 5 times in his career, his Parker Kligerman. The guy out front looking for his first win of 2020-21 and trying to put himself in the playoffs. It's Rajah Carruth. We go green when we come back on Monday Night Racing.
For years, people had to get professional tools off of a truck.
That's me.
But we know that tool trucks only come around maybe once a week.
You want to go check out what's in my van?
Now, Dave knows that his NAPA Auto Parts store delivers parts multiple times a day to his shop, and they carry the professional line of Carlyle tools. Carlyle offers quality tools with a lifetime warranty on his hand tools and a significant savings over mobile tool trucks. And you can forget about the weekly payments and expensive finance charges.
Just pay me, every week for the rest of your life.
Carlyle Tools, as close as your local NAPA Auto Parts store.
One weekend, any driver can go from nothing to something.
Daniel Everhart winning the Podium eSports Daytona 500.
And something to nothing.
Oh, Derek Justice gets turned in front of the field. Derek Justice gets...
In an instant. Register now at podiumesports.com.
When they asked us to call Monday Night Racing, I had no idea it was going to come down to a restart like this. 3 to go, and this not an attempt at a green-white checker, so we could have more restarts before this thing is decided. The race leader is Rajah Caruth inside of Anthony Alfredo. If Caruth wins the race, he puts himself in the playoffs. This is what it's all about, fellas.
Oh, yeah, it's a big if. But you know what I love about all these guys? If anything,
I'm like DW, though. I'm going to be watching that old 77 car starting on the inside of that second row, parked with Kligerman.
Yeah, if anything goes wrong, I'll text him tomorrow.
Don't write off Ryan Vargas. He's in that 6, starting outside of row 2. Qualified on the front row. He's going to be a player as well. We'll go green with 2 laps remaining. And, of course, as always, when we go green, it's sponsored by Big Green Egg. And just as I build it up, we hear from race control we're going to run 1 more lap.
Well, you know what? It just, the tension builds.
I love it, though. James, what do you have for us?
Hey, Joe, there was a wreck in the back. Some of the cars pacing in the back of the field got tangled up on the back straightaway, so race control was forced to extend this yellow flag. And more importantly, that now puts us under our first of 3 green-white checker attempts. So we weren't going to burn one, but now we are, and that could change the way this race finishes up.
Yeah, so this caution pushes us past our scheduled distance of 100 laps. So as James said, because of that, this will be attempt number 1 at a green-white checker finish. 2 remaining is they put the heat in their tires. And I'm guessing right now you don't want to hear anything in that race car from the spotter or anybody else. You just want it to be driver, steering wheel, windshield, and go win the race. Is that right, Daryl?
Oh, yeah. You watch that 77. He's going to dive bomb this thing on the bottom. I think he's going to try to go underneath that 99 down in turn 1.
Talked about it. You can't spin these tires on this restart.
And the green flag sponsored by Big Green Egg. Here we go once again to decide it at the Homestead Miami Speedway. And they're side by side, but Caruth once again in that inside lane, going to jump to the lead. And maybe the bigger thing is Alfredo slides into that second position. Kligerman could not make the move he wanted to go after the top spot.
Oh, that 99 is just, that thing is awesome. It's got a great, accelerates so strong up off the corner.
The last thing he wanted to see, the caution is out, and that means we are going to get a second attempt at a green-white checker finish.
You know what, Adam? You can only do these perfectly so many times. And if we keep going, you know, every time you have a restart, chance you'll miss a gear, chance, and there's so many things that can go wrong.
Here's the replay of what happened. And a couple of cars get together there. And among them, it appears to be the 46 of Stephen Ellis.
Definitely got the worst end of that, for sure.
Maybe Jeff Green got a piece of the action as well.
There must be something about, you go home and you say, what, I got wrecked. Or you go home and you say, oh, I got passed by 9 cars. I think from a driver's perspective, you just say, we're going to go home and say, I got wrecked or I wrecked someone, rather than go home and say, oh, I got passed by 9 cars. I didn't do a very good job. Because that falls right back in the driver's lap.
Take me back now as we continue to watch the replays. Take me back to Caruth, Daryl. And once again, he was flawless on the restart and pulling away. And I'm not going to say that it was a done deal, but he's coming to the white flag, right? I mean, he's off of turn 4. He can see it. And he's pretty much got it under his control to go out and win this thing. And now the caution, you got to reset and go through the process again. It's got to wear on you mentally if you're a driver.
Well, what I like about that kid is he's sitting on a hot stove and peeing ice water. And, buddy, that's hard to do on these restarts. When you got people breathing down your back, you know that you're a sitting duck. But he handled that last restart perfectly. See if he can do it again.
Yep, got that 6 car, Ryan Vargas. He's going to restart on the inside of the second row. He's got a couple of wins in Monday Night Podium Racing, so we'll see what he can do on this restart.
Hey, I'm going to tell you, Nick Sant.
About blocking. I mean, you know, if somebody gets a run on, he's going to block them.
And listen to some of these other names in the top 10. You got Nick Sanchez up there, Preston Pardus, James Davison. I mean, these are all drivers that have won this year and know how to get it done. So if there were to be some kind of a problem at the front, there's plenty of experience behind those guys. They are, in fact, ready to pounce.
Yeah, Adam, some guys live for this. Some guys live for these restarts. Some guys live for these late cautions. Get everybody bunched up and hopefully maybe make the guy in front of you make a mistake, do something wrong that opens the door for you to go to victory lane.
Well, I don't know about you guys, but I've had a great time. And I know that we were introduced to iRacing last spring when the pandemic hit, and we fell in love with it, and we realized just how fun this can be and how real it is. And now to be with Podium eSports and doing Monday night racing and all that's on the line in the regular season finale and on the doorstep of the playoffs, this is something that's really cool to be a part of.
It is, Adam, and this is my first time of doing this. So,
you know, it's been a classic race. We had those 3 cautions in the first 26 laps, and then we had a 60-lap green flag run with green flag pit stops, and now 3 cautions here within the last 10 or so laps.
We're about ready to finish this thing, James, and it's getting really interesting, my man.
It's going to be a lot of fun, but the fun doesn't end when this race is over. A big week coming up for Podium eSports all throughout this next week. Tomorrow night, we've got the NutriShop E-Street Stock Showdown from Auto Club Speedway. 2 nights of racing. It's Ryan Vargas' event, actually, that he's organized. You'll see that tomorrow night. The MPI Cup Series is back on Sunday night from Phoenix. We're back with Monday Night Racing next week for the All-Star Race, the iRacing Super Speedway, and then the 3rd annual Podium 500 looming in the horizon Sunday, February 7th, 12:30 p.m. Eastern. We're now up to 300 drivers registered for the Great Virtual Race. If you took the Daytona 500 to the Chili Bowl style, that's essentially the Podium 500. We're going to see people compete all weekend to try and win the $1,000, and you're going to see a few of those names in that race, including the man starting on the outside for this restart, that number 38 of Anthony Alfredo.
You got the updated copy, James. Mine said 250. You're saying 300 going after those coveted spots, and that's going to be a good one. We certainly look forward to it. All right, guys, attempt number 2 in a green-white checker, and we'll see if Rajah Caruth can stay perfect behind the wheel on these restarts. Once again, our green flag is sponsored by the Big Green Egg.
Caruth, he's trying to figure out how to trick these guys, get a little jump on him. He just needs a little jump. He gets that pushing. He'll be all right. Looks like we're going to go another lap.
Yeah, not surprised. It looked like to me, David Schillhouse back there in that 20 car, he was not in line. So obviously race control said, you know, we're just not organized here. We're going to have to get organized and run another lap.
It's okay. Blood pressure just went up a little bit more. Heart rate just went up a little bit more. Pulse is beating a little bit. It's going to be tense this last couple of laps, buddy.
Hey. And, you know, we focus so much on the lead. Let's not forget about Gabe Wood, who's had an unbelievable night. We've documented that. He came into this race below the playoff bubble, right now in 8th. He wants to advance into the postseason, but every position is a point, and he's at +8 right now. He cannot afford to get caught up in somebody else's mess on what is no doubt going to be a very aggressive restart here.
Oh, yeah, he's got to be on his toes.
Oh, Adam, you may have said it because we've been talking about our leader, Caruth, in that 99, but Ryan Vargas in that 6 car back there, he's in the same situation. He needs to win this race to advance.
Yeah, and he dropped down. He's going to be restarting right behind Caruth in that inside lane. Here we go. It's Podium eSports' 2nd attempt at a green-white checker. It's the regular season finale for Monday Night Racing. Anthony Alfredo's got some room in that outside lane, but once again, Caruth trying to pull away down low. There's contact out front.
That 77 car, though, Kligerman on the inside, he takes advantage of that, and he moves into 2nd right behind Caruth.
This is as aggressive as they have been tonight on a restart. Caruth stays out front, but they're 2 and 3 wide behind him. Can we keep it clean and get back to the white flag? And the answer is no. Just before the start-finish line, we get another caution, and that means now we will advance to our third and final attempt at a green-white checker finish.
I don't know about y'all. This give me a headache. Oh yeah, you restarts.
One of the drivers involved there, the 20 car, David Chillhouse. Remember, he had been running up inside the top 5, top 6.
This racing was really, really good, and there you see Schildhouse. He just got on the top side of 3 wide, and this is what I mentioned about Gabe Wood. We knew it would be like this. The last thing you want is to have such a good night and have it in because of a wreck like this on an aggressive final restart. You got to be careful in these situations.
You know, there's just nothing you can do.
DJ Cummings had really fast car in practice today. He was caught up in it as well, right near the tip.
But Adam, there's really nothing you can do. You just got to go. You got to gas it up and go, and you can't anticipate, or you can't really think about what might happen. You just got to go for it.
Cummings, a driver, you talk about DJ Cummings that came into this race needing to finish 35th or better to clinch a playoff spot. And this wreck certainly not going to help him in that category, although right now he is scored above the cut line and would move in to the postseason. On board here with Brett Baldeck, the reporter from WJZY Fox 46, right here in Charlotte.
Tell you one thing, these guys had some hell. They had some big wrecks. I'll say that.
They have. You know who the real loser on that restart was? Ryan Vargas in that 6 car, and it all started down there, DW, in turns 1 and 2 when Kligerman got to the inside of him, and now he's sitting all the way back there in the 6th position in that 6 car.
Yeah, the 99 blocked him, and I think it broke his momentum, and that opened the door for Parker Kleeman. He came flying through there. Parker doesn't have the fastest car out there by any means, but he's doing a heck of a job behind the wheel.
And I think, you know, for the first time tonight on a restart, we saw Carruth have to handle some pressure. You know, that's not something, he's been able to use that inside lane and jump away and really has not felt much pressure. On that restart, I felt like the game changed a little bit.
Yeah. I think you're right, Adam, but I also think it shows that he's not going to give up that lead. You know, if you're going to get by him, you might regret that because he's been pretty aggressive. He's blocked a lot early on, particularly. He just blocked there to maintain that lead, and he's got such a great race car. He's going to do whatever it takes to win this race.
Yeah, one of the things we talked about at the top of the show was not making a mistake, and Rajah Carruth, he's not made any mistakes on green flag runs or on these restarts.
Nope. No, he's been flawless all night. His pit stop was right at the right time. The car just looked really, really solid all night long. He's led the most laps. He's definitely got a great car, and he's doing a good job behind the wheel.
Let's look at the top 5 real quick as we anticipate what will be our third and final green-white checker to decide the SimSeats 150. Rajah Carruth leading. Anthony Alfredo is second, so he'll go on the outside of row 1 at the restart. Parker Kligerman, Nick Sanchez in row 2. Nick Sanchez, a winner earlier this season. Also up front, Gabe Wood, he's in the top 5. Ryan Vargas, Larry talked about him, dropped back to 6th. The rest of the top 10. TJ Majors, James Davison, who's won the last couple of weeks, Matt Stallknecht, and Gary Sexton completes the top 10. Now, in iRacing, we will finish under green.
This is where I probably throw my line out there, Adam. You might want to reach up there and pull those belts tight one more time.
Okay. Hey, I can barely breathe now. Like on my neck.
Final attempt. Who's your money on here?
I'm going to stay. That 99 looks strong, but I sure like Parker Kleeman. I hope I'm not talking about him too much, but I think he's in a good position, and he could pull it off.
Make it fun. I'll go with Anthony Alfredo's restarting on the outside of the front row. Can he catch that 99 car sleeping, or will Carruth make his first mistake of the night on this restart?
Well,
I think if that 99 if he can get a gap, he'll be okay.
If you're going to leave him out there, I'll just take Carruth, all right? Final green flag of the night. It's sponsored by Big Green Egg. Can Carruth finish the deal at Miami?
Alfredo got a great restart. He kept right on the door of Carruth.
Very similar to the last restart. Carruth trying to run him up the track a little bit, but Alfredo hanging right in there. And don't look now, but here comes the 96 making a move. That's Nick Sanchez. Back behind him, Kligerman's out of shape. He's not going to win it. Anthony Alfredo to the outside takes over the race lead. The white flag is out one more time around at the Homestead Miami Speedway.
What a shock. I never thought that anybody could get by that 99 car. It's not over. You got to wait to go. See what happens.
Interesting down here in turns 3 and 4.
Anthony Alfredo laying in the weeds all night long behind Rajah Carruth. He gets him on the final restart. Can he hang on? Carruth looking outside as they come off of turn 4. Back to the start-finish line. It's the 38. Anthony Alfredo wins the Sim Seats 150 at the Homestead Miami Speedway.
Wow. What a finish. Woo! Good job. Not thought that.
Worst restart of the night for Carruth comes when he needed his best.
Oh, yeah, when they came down to the line, they're side by side.
Meant more than anything.
I don't think he's too happy about it either.
Heck of a night for Anthony Alfredo, who wins for the first time this season and joins Nick DeGroot, Kyle Busch, Will Rogers, Preston Pardus, and Nick Sanchez as drivers who win in the regular season, qualify for the playoffs, and now will have some bonus points when postseason play gets underway.
And that's what makes this racetrack so fun and so good. You can just run all over the place, and just like we saw there, you get a good restart, hold that guy at the bottom, take the lead.
So Anthony Alfredo is able to get the win in dramatic fashion. Now, I would say if you did average running position, he was probably somewhere 2.5 on the board there, but he capitalized when it mattered most. Carruth finishes second. Sanchez, Vargas, Gabe Wood puts himself in the playoffs, I got to believe, with a top 5 finish. Outstanding effort for the 50. TJ Majors back and forth throughout the night. He comes home 6th. Nice effort from James Davison, Joshua Slate, Brandon Brown, and Garrett Smithley finishes out the top 10 tonight.
Good job, Garrett. Boy, Clearman, he almost wrecked. Clearman did there at the end of that with coming to the white flag. So he hung on to be 13th.
Yeah, Robbie Lyons led a bunch of laps in the middle part of the race. Larry, he ended up 15th.
I mean, the strategy, just if he could have caught a caution, I think, he would have pitted and drug everyone with him and maybe maintained the lead, but finally had to make that green flag stop with 10 or so laps to go.
Go outside the top 20. Matt Stallneck, someone that we talked about tonight, spent a lot of time in the top 10. Bobby Labonte, the NASCAR Hall of Famer, runs part-time on Monday Night Racing, ends up 24th. You know, someone we didn't talk about much tonight is Nick DeGroot. Nick DeGroot, the reigning champion. He's already won this year, was already locked into the playoffs. He finishes 26th. I have a feeling, though, we'll be talking a lot about him once we get into the playoffs.
I mean, yeah, and I'm saying Ron Capps. I mean, he finished 30th. I thought Capps might do a little better than that. Our buddy Ford Martin, he's 32nd. So some guys I thought might run better than they did, just didn't get up there and get it done tonight. Will Power, he was in the back.
Well, it's all over. Anthony Alfredo wins it. What are your thoughts, James Pike?
Just a quick note for those who didn't catch it on the restart there. Nick Sanchez got into the back of Rajah Carruth, entering 3, coming to the white flag, and it upset the balance of the 99 going into the corner. It forced Rajah to come up the racetrack, and he checked up to avoid hitting Anthony Alfredo, who had all that momentum on the outside. Alfredo was then able to make the pass, and then once he got clear of the 99, it was game, set, match. So a little bit of bumper tag there between the 99 and the 96, and I'll be curious to see if either one of them have the same or more likely differing viewpoints in the post-race interviews coming up.
Well, I will say the intensity level changed on those restarts really with that second green-white checker. I felt like the first one went much like what we saw throughout the balance of the night on restarts, and the 99 was in control. But we saw in that second attempt, at the green-white checker, things really changed. And James talked about how it went down as we were racing to the finish line there, and Anthony Alfredo able to be the beneficiary of some contact to Sanchez and Carruth, and you see what he's talking about right there.
There's where Parker Kligerman in the 77 car got so loose down into turn 3 and just lost so much ground.
And joining us now, the winner of the SimSeats 150, Anthony Alfredo. Anthony, you were already locked in to the playoffs, but now you take some bonus points winning the regular season finale. Congratulations. Take us through that final restart when you were able to get the lead coming to the white flag over in turn 3, 4. As you came off of turn 4, I guess it was, when you finally cleared Carruth.
It was incredible. It was a really great feeling, especially being on the top side like that. I wasn't sure I'd be able to pull that off. That first seam is the ideal place to be in, and I had some of the best restarts of my iRacing career, if not my racing career as a whole there. So definitely just tried to continue to execute on those, and if I had a gap behind him, I just tried to fall in line so I could cross over, but the caution kept coming out, and I'm really thankful we were able to stay green there that time and race it all the way to the checkered flag, especially to have SimSeats on the car in the SimSeats 150 and get them to win as with their car in their title race is pretty awesome. I know it's huge for them, and it was my first race in the 38 car, so hopefully this is a sign of good things that come for this year. Just even won the Daytona 24 on iRacing yesterday too, so 2 back-to-back big wins is pretty awesome.
No doubt, tremendous anticipation for you as we look for 2021 on track, both in the NASCAR Cup Series and certainly here in iRacing. I said it just before you joined us. I felt like the intensity on the restarts really changed, beginning with that second attempt at a green-white checker. Is that what you felt in the race car?
100%. It's a great point to make. I'm sure you guys had a great view of it up in the booth and all the fans watching. I went in there. That was the first time I tried to roll the top, or not the top, but the outside of him, and tried to hold him below the seam. And he wasn't gonna let me do that to him. He kind of kept me up to high, which we're both going for the win. So it's almost like if you get below that seam, it's game over. So I would have done the same thing, and it just got hectic from behind when that happened, because we got together. They came with some huge runs, and I thought it was over there, but thankfully I maintained second off of 4, and then the caution came out, and I knew we had one more shot at it, and I just had to do my best. So that's what we did, and here we are in victory lane talking to you guys. It doesn't get it's pretty cool.
It's a great time for you in your career. So many positive things are happening, coming off a wonderful campaign in the NASCAR Xfinity Series, announcing your Cup debut, and doing so many positive things in iRacing. Congratulations on the win tonight, Anthony. It's good to have you on with us. Enjoy it, and best of luck in the playoffs and throughout 2021 in the Cup car for Front Row Motorsports.
Thank you so much. Thanks to you guys for coming in the booth too. I know everyone appreciates it, not just the fans, but us drivers. Hope everyone enjoyed the show, and special shout out to the Sauce Mafia and everyone who watched my point of view during the race as well on Twitch.
Outstanding. Great work tonight for Anthony Alfredo, who wins for the first time this season, advances into the playoffs with a victory. And I say he advances in, as I said earlier, he was already locked in on points, but now we'll take some bonus points with him. And a nice win, great young man, and someone that's easy to root for, and earned it tonight as he got to the outside of Carruth on that final green-white checker. I like that guy, Daryl. He's got good energy and has a lot of fun in the race car.
Well, anytime you win a race, it just brings out, it's got such a great personality. And I watched him this past year, and I think he'll do a great job in the Cup car. Just another one of those young guys that's trying to make a name for himself. The night certainly didn't hurt anything.
Hello.
And Rajah Carruth is with us now. Daryl, jump in and interview driver 99.
Yeah, buddy, you got to be a little upset with the way this race ended up. You had such an awesome car all night long. What went wrong on that last restart?
Yeah, DW, thanks for asking. Them restarts were kind of hard because the race control was telling us to go on pace car, and so that kind of is hard to judge versus a restart zone. So felt like I was getting kind of yardstick with the 38 going a little early every restart, but I mean, I still had a shot there, and I could have, drove in there and wrecked him, but decided not to and try to pass him straight up. So unfortunate, but I was really glad to have this effort tonight. I was really hoping that we could pull it off, but just wasn't meant to be tonight.
No, but your car you had a great car all night long. You made your pit stop at the right time. I thought you did a great job behind the wheel. Great confidence booster. What do you got going for the future?
Yeah, so I can't really say that yet, DW, but check back in a week and I'll have something for you. But definitely,
well, it might didn't hurt anything, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Well, good. Well, you did a great job. People always say second sucks. I never felt that way. You have a lot to build on, and congratulations on a great run tonight.
10-4. Thank you, DW.
All right.
Trying to get the scoop out. I mean, he's got a plan. He's got a press conference set up. They're going to put out the press release. I mean, come on. And now we're joined by Nick Sanchez, who had a great run tonight. Jump in there, Larry Mack.
Nick, congratulations on a podium finish. This race almost played out how we set it up, Nick, at the start of the race. We had 3 cautions in the first 26 laps, and then we had a 60-lap green flag run, and then 4 cautions in the last 10 or so laps. It just seemed like you just kind of kept creeping up there the entire race.
Yeah, I think if it wasn't for that last caution before the green-white checkers, we would have definitely been out of contention. Just had a couple issues in the beginning of the race, but that caution definitely helped us get back in position and was able to capitalize on each start.
So, Nick, Adam Alexander mentioned it. The intensity just seemed to keep ramping up on all those restarts from the green-right checker. Looked like to me you gave Rajah Caruth a little bit of a shot getting down into turn 3. I guess trying to catapult him forward, and maybe you could follow him through there. So it didn't really work out. I know like what you wanted it, but things got pretty aggressive on those restarts.
Yeah, I mean, there was many times I thought I was gonna end up in the wall. Thankfully, I was able to finish. But yeah, when it looked like I pushed Raja, I was trying to make it 3 wide, but he threw a block, and I was like, might as well just try to give him the best shot to win it if I can't. He's my teammate in real life, so it all worked out at the end.
Nick, they're gonna re-rack them now for the playoffs. You're in the playoffs by virtue of that win out there at Phoenix. You start them off in Xfinity at Richmond. What are your thoughts on these playoff races? A very diverse set of tracks with a very diverse set of race cars.
I probably love that more than anything. I just like I don't like running the same track in the sim every week. I like running different cars, different conditions, because it brings out the best in all the drivers. We have some drivers that are from road racing, ovals, dirt. So it allows everyone a chance to really capitalize on what they get at.
So, Nick, I know you're a NASCAR Next driver. You've run ARCA. Maybe you'll give us a little more information than Rajah did on your future. What are your plans in 2021?
I'm actually going to run full-time in the ARCA Menard Series with Rev Racing, starting in Daytona. So I'm definitely excited for this to be a great learning year for me.
Good deal. Well, congratulations on the 3rd place finish, Nick, and we'll be watching for you this year in 2021.
Thank you.
So Nick Sanchez completes the podium, and what a night it was for the regular season finale to commence at the Homestead Miami Speedway, virtually the SimSeats 150. We go the distance and then some, and I'll tell you what, I had a great time, and I got to get final thoughts from the Hall of Famer and America's crew chief. I know when we signed up for this, we didn't know exactly how it was going to pan out, but Darrell, this was a real special evening.
It really was, and of course, I didn't know what we were getting into either. I've never done a sim race, and so I wasn't sure. Quite honestly, I forgot we were doing a sim race. I just thought about it being cars on a track. I love Miami Homestead is a great track for these cars, these drivers. They put on a wheel of a show. It was a great finish. Might want to do this again sometime, Adam. What do you think?
I'm in. Larry, what'd you think?
I mean, I get so caught up in the racing that I totally forget that it is iRacing, that it is virtual, but it's that real. And I love the fact that they do the fixed setups. So it really evaluates a driver's talent, but probably more than anything, his experience level in iRacing. And the thing I love about it the most is all walks of racing. You've got drivers from all different types of forms of motorsports. You've got drivers, you've got engineers, you've got spotters, you've got tire specialists. And to me, that's just what really, really makes it some neat racing and something I thoroughly enjoy being a part of.
And a special thanks to all those folks from Podium eSports and iRacing and Monday Night Racing that helped us get ready. Ford Martin put out the invite, but Ryan Bowers, our producer, James Pike, who of course calls the races on a week-to-week basis, Taylor Burris, who does an outstanding job working with James, everyone involved. Thank you for having us. Thanks for setting us up, and congratulations on a great way to end the regular season. Anthony Alfredo is a winner, and James, I think the momentum is in line big time for a wonderful run to a championship as you guys head toward postseason.
Adam, we made the point at the very top of the broadcast that Anthony had had so many podium finishes over the course of the year, and it was only a matter of time before he found his way to victory lane. And I don't necessarily know if we entirely envisioned it this way, Taylor Burris, but at the end of the night, the 38 finally gets his first victory in Monday Night Racing.
And talk about a victory in style. I mean, this race was phenomenal from start to finish, and for Anthony to just steal a one away from Rajah Caruth was exciting to the bitter end, as we saw that with Caruth. Not very happy about the outcome, as he was looking forward to trying to take home that checkered flag. But for Anthony Alfredo, a great momentum builder. Like you said, he won the Rolex 24 over the weekend. He wins Monday Night Racing. That is going to be a big key booster for him to work his way up through the playoff point standings and possibly take home his first Monday Night Racing championship.
It's been a huge last 72 hours in the sim for Anthony Alfredo, and I have a feeling that momentum could carry him right into Speed Weeks and into some of the upcoming events, not only in the real world, but in the virtual world as well. We've got 3 of them to tell you about over the course of the next week here on Podium Esports. Tomorrow night, it's the first night of the NutriShop Street Stock Showdown. Ryan Vargas has got everybody running the Street Stocks at Auto Club. The main race you'll see on Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern. We'll have coverage of qualifying as well tomorrow night. The stream, not necessarily a broadcast, a stream, we will bring you on the Podium Esports Twitch channel. Then, Sunday night, the MPI Cup Series is back for round 5 of their 2021 campaign from Phoenix Raceway. You'll find that broadcast on the Podium Esports Twitch channel at 9:15 p.m. Eastern on Sunday night. Then, next Monday night, a special early time for Monday Night Racing presented by Tufco Flooring. It's the All-Star Race. We take a little bit of a break and we go to iRacing Super Speedway with the Cup cars, and Ford Martin is going to step out of the car and he's going to call the race with TB next Monday night, 8 p.m. Eastern on twitch.tv/Podium2, as well as the Podium Esports Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter pages. And then, of course, the 3rd annual Podium 500, 300 drivers plus registered for a shot at a $3,000 purse. It's 4 days of action. It's the preliminary race on Thursday night at 9. It's qualifying from 7 to 11 on Friday night. Saturday, it is nearly 12 straight hours of racing. 8 heat races, 2 last chance qualifiers, and the 2 dual races to set up the grid for Sunday afternoon's 43-car, 200-lap, 500-mile, $1,000 to win feature event that you can see all on twitch.tv/Podium Esports at 12:30 p.m. Eastern, Sunday, February 7th. You will not want to miss one of the biggest events of the year in sim racing, and an event that is going to set a new record, the size of a field in an independent iRacing event. We have not forgotten about the point situation and the point standings. We just wanted to take a little bit of time to confirm the names that are going to make it into the Monday Night Racing playoffs, and they are official. Jumping into the playoffs at night's end, Gabe Wood by virtue of his top 5 finish, and Max Kennan, who came home in 14th, falling out of the playoff cutoff. It was Seth Eggert and Steven Ellis. So 2 come in, 2 go out, and there is your 13-car field, 13 drivers that will compete over the course of the next 8 weeks to determine who wins the title in Season 2 of Monday Night Racing. It is just about time to wrap up our broadcast, but so many people that we need to thank. First and foremost to our all-star guest broadcast team that came on. It's not every day that you have one of the best talents on Fox, one of the best crew chiefs in NASCAR history, and, a NASCAR Hall of Famer on your show. But a tremendous thanks to all of Adam Alexander, Larry McReynolds, and Darrell Waltrip for their time on the broadcast. Also, a big thanks to the team at Monday Night Racing, Josh Mendoza, Ford Morton, Paul Sutton, for all the work that they do behind the scenes. A thank you to our team, as per usual, at Podium eSports: Cisco Scaramuza, Gary Sexton, John Theodore, tonight's producer, Ryan Bauer, our production assistant, Zach Johnson, and my partner in the booth, Taylor Burris. Thank you all so much. I am James Pike, the voice of Podium eSports. Thank you to all of you watching at home for keeping track of all the action in the SimSeats 150, the regular season finale for Monday Night Racing. We are now going to send it over to Rhino GT4. Ryan Burt, where we're headed, and for those who are big fans of Team Rick, we're going to line you up with a little bit of action there. Thanks so much. So long from Homestead Miami Speedway. We'll see you tomorrow night for the NutriShop Street Stock Showdown.